Hey there, I'm Jenna, and I am a chronic goal setter. In fact, I have a lot of really ambitious goals that I very frequently wonder, will I ever achieve them? And chances are, if you click this video, you're probably a chronic goal setter as well. Now, what I want to talk about today may just end up being a ton of rambling that doesn't actually lead to any real solutions for you. Or you may have an epiphany moment like I did earlier today, which is what inspired me to ramble in front of this camera. So big idea number one that I wanted to meditate on, or marinate in, which was the word that I kept thinking of when I was writing this intro and for the life of me could not remember meditate until way later. But, so meditate, marinate in, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, this big idea or fear that I have is if I rest for even a moment, everything will fall apart. I talk a lot about self-care and rest in my vlogs because I do lifestyle vlog content and I talk about the importance of those two things, rest and self-care. And I do partake in those activities, but they are so cleverly guised as rest and self-care when in reality, it's still work for me because I am recording doing those things for my vlogs. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually do get a lot of comfort and relaxation from filming B-roll. I have always had an eye for the camera. That's not a saying. I have always had a desire to capture moments, right? It started out as photos and it's now elevated to video. And I do get a lot of joy and comfort and relaxation from filming B-roll of my life. It makes me really happy. But sometimes it can also be insanely stressful and make very simple everyday tasks take legitimately 10 times longer. So in those cases, I am not resting or relaxing or taking care of myself. I'm working. I am filming YouTube videos. So this epiphany that I had, I was listening to this podcast called All It Takes Is a Goal by Jon Acuff. And side note, John says in a previous podcast episode that if you are someone who is actively listening to goal-setting podcasts, then there is about a 100% chance that you are a high-performing individual, which felt very validating to me because before that moment, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I was a high-performing person. I wasn't sure if I was a high performer. I wasn't sure if I was a goal accomplisher. I had doubts. So anyways, I was listening to this podcast. I will have that specific episode linked below. It is called Postponing Joy, Losing Your Edge, and Why It's Easy to Repeat Negative Thoughts. That was the podcast I was listening to. And I was really vibing with it, but about 8 or 9 minutes in was the part of the podcast that I had to stop and listen to again and again. And then I listened to the whole podcast completely over, and then I listened to that middle section again. I listened to the middle section about 4 or 5 times. And so what he was saying really resonated with me. And I don't know if what he was saying was an exaggeration of his life or very accurate, but what he was saying was very accurate for my life, so I don't find it hard to believe that it's accurate for his life. His fears were my fears, and that fear was, if I paused for just a moment, if I took a breath, then I'd lose my edge. Then I'd get lazy. Then I'd slow down. He said he felt like he was one nap away from the whole thing falling apart, and my God, if that didn't just reach me, this like right down in my soul. That is exactly how I've been feeling for years, right? For years. Now I want to give a little glimpse into the positive, and then I will go more in depth on why I think that feeling started in me and how it developed through the years. But first, the positive, the thing that almost brought me to tears was that he had a counselor tell him that you couldn't lose your edge even if you tried because you are not the one who put it there. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean, John? I don't understand what that sentence means at all. But he went on to describe that we are born with this desire already in ourselves. We are born with our personalities, our heart. That two people can be raised by the same parents but have two 1000% completely different personalities, which is true for me and my brother. Him and I are so different, but we were raised by the same parents. So if you are someone who is always working hard, always setting goals, always striving to better yourself and your life and your circumstances, then even if you take a time to rest, even if you take the time to take care of yourself, you will not lose that edge. And that was like releasing for me to hear, because that is one of my biggest fears, is that I will lose my edge. I do fear that if I rest for too long, I will stop creating. I will stop working out. I will stop working on achieving my goals. And I think that stems from the fact that I don't always feel like I've been a high performer. I don't feel like I've always been a high achiever. I did decently well in high school. I got A's and B's and maybe a couple C's, but I didn't always do the work. Like, there was lots of assignments that I just didn't want to do. I thought it was a waste of my time, or I was a major procrastinator. I've been a procrastinator for a very long time. I was a high procrastinator in high school, definitely a procrastinator in college. So even though I was getting good grades, I didn't ever feel like I was a hard worker, especially because I had friends that were actually hard workers. And I was like, oh, I'm not like that. That's not me. That's not who I am. And then, I get into college and it's more of the same. Procrastinate, sleeping in, missing classes, sleeping in. I've slept in so many classes, y'all. And I went to a small college. I slept in a class of like 15 people sitting in the front row and didn't get in trouble at all. That's wild. And I mean, it was an early class and I just couldn't. But yeah, I just there was a couple classes that I would just legit sleep in or not pay attention in or do what in middle school. Okay. Oh my God. I think I've just had another epiphany. Wait, this is happening live. I'm having an epiphany live. In a middle school, instead of paying attention in class, I would write stories. I would write in my notebook. I had stories that I was working on like since middle school. Editing Jenna coming in to say that I actually first discovered my love for writing in 4th grade, but didn't fully explore what that meant until middle school. So if anything, that passion has been in me for an even longer amount of time than I realized. And I would just sit there and write. Write. I would not pay attention in history. I hated history, so I would not pay attention. I would just write. I'd just write my little fantasy love stories. Oh, I'm meant to be a writer. Like, actually, like I like, that's one of my goals. Obviously, that's one of my goals, is to be a writer. But oh wait, I'm getting really emotional. That is a truth about myself that I didn't realize how deep it went until just now in this video. I've been wanting to write since middle school, to the point that I would write my stories in class. I would spend hours a day writing. Hours of it. Okay. I had a point to this video that wasn't that. Okay. So let me try to bring this train back to the station, y'all. What was I talking about? Okay. Yeah, okay. So in college, again, I was a procrastinator. I didn't always work very hard. I worked hard on some small things here and there, things that I felt passionate about, but otherwise, like, I wasn't an overachiever. Again, procrastinating. So I felt like I didn't have enough proof of concept. I felt like I didn't have enough evidence to tell me that I am a high performer and I will achieve my goals. Not to mention that my goals are really lofty, almost impossible goals to obtain. And I say almost impossible because the statistics behind my specific goals, I don't know what your goals are. So you may have different reasons for why you don't think you can accomplish your said goals. For me, my goal is to be a successful YouTuber, is to have I want to have 100,000 subscribers, at least. Like, I want that silver play button. That is a goal of mine. You want to know the percentage of YouTubers that get to that point, that get 100,000 subscribers? That's less than 0.5%. That is a scary small statistic. Why do I think I can be that statistic when I have all of this evidence that tells me I am not a high performer, that I am just a random normal person? Why do I think I can reach that? The amount of writers that get traditionally published, 2%. 2% of writers get traditionally published. Again, why do I think I'm the person that can be that statistic? Why do I think I'm of the 2%? Well, I think it's the fact that I just cried thinking about the fact that I've been writing since middle school. But this all goes along with this need to continually always be working towards a goal. You know, John talks about in his podcast that when he tells himself he'll celebrate when he completes this specific goal, but then that goal is completed, and then he sets another goal, and then another one and another one, and he keeps moving the goalpost, and that is exactly how I've been operating for the last 2 or 3 years. I keep moving the goalpost. I mean, one of my biggest goals was to get monetized on YouTube, and I haven't reached that goal yet, so that also feels like indicative of the fact that I won't make it, because it's been almost 2 years and I haven't made it yet. So that's also stressful because I haven't accomplished that the small part of my 100,000 follower goal, right? But I have to remind myself that I need to rest. I need to take time for myself. I need to take time away from the camera, away from pointing my camera at things. I need to rest. I need to relax. And everything won't fall apart if I do that. Well, that's really hard to convince myself, but everything will not fall apart if I do that. And the reason why I fear that. So I talked a little bit about high school and a little bit about college. After I graduated from college, I took a year off from work. I did work briefly as a stagehand at our local theater, which was so much fun, but it was like barely any hours a week, so it wasn't a huge commitment. But I took a year off, A, so that I could go to Australia and visit my cousins and family there, but B, because I had suffered 2 deaths in my family while I was in college. I lost my dad and my stepdad. And so I didn't want to take time off from school because I wanted to graduate with my friends, and also I needed to keep busy, you know, so that grief could that grief wasn't just like festering. I needed to keep my body moving, needed to keep busy. So anyway, after I graduated, I took that year off to travel and rest. Well, that year was really hard because I felt really lazy and really depressed. I know I just talked about like losing my dad and stepdad, but this felt different than grief. I know what grief feels like, and this was different. I would sit at home all day watching TV. My apartment was a mess. I barely left the house. I would go to the gym every night. And then like occasionally I'd hang out with my friends, but they all had jobs and some of them were still in school, so I didn't get to see them very often. But I was really sad and lazy. And I didn't feel good. I just binge shows all the time, all day, every day. I tried to make some healthy foods and then would have dishes sitting in my sink for weeks. And the reason why I keep myself so busy now is because I'm afraid to go back to who I was then. Because again, I feel like I have more proof to the negative than to the positive. But that isn't true. Because as I was meditating on what John's podcast was telling me, because I listened to it so many effing times, as I was meditating on that, I was thinking, okay, where's the evidence that I am a high performer? If John says that if you're listening to this podcast that there's a 100% chance you're a high performer, what is the evidence that I am? Well, for starters, I've been posting on YouTube fairly consistently for almost 2 fucking years now, right? And recently I've been very diligent about posting once a week. Before there was a few months where I was posting only once a month, but then I really nailed down, like, no, I gotta post once a week. But there was never a month that I went without posting. Like, I still posted. That's been almost 2 years now. That's a pretty, like, good base, right? I self-published a book in high school. It's not good. But I self-published this in high school. Like, this is a novel. This is the size of a novel. I did that in high school. I did that. I started this freshman year, finished it senior year. That's pretty evidence. That is evidence of accomplishing a goal, right? I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, and I did it anyways. Actually, that's like kind of, I feel like that's kind of my motto. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyways. I have a ton of crafts that I literally had to learn something new in order to complete it. I've been commissioned for fairly big projects and completed them on time. Doing things I had never done before and had to learn while doing it. Okay, this is evidence of me accomplishing goals, right? You know, it's all about flipping your thoughts. You know, taking that negative and turning it into something positive. I need to be telling myself, like, okay, yes, I've had moments of my life where I've been very lazy for long periods of time, and it was an icky feeling. I didn't like it. But also, I was a different person then. I was younger. I was less disciplined. I'm older now. I have more knowledge. I have more discipline. I have more grit. I have a lot more passion. I have a lot more passion than when I was younger. So I shouldn't sell myself short. And neither should you, obviously. Neither should you. I realize I've been talking about myself this whole entire video. But if you're watching this video, you shouldn't sell yourself short either. That's a really hard sentence to say. You shouldn't sell yourself short either. If you're watching this video that shows that you have a goal that you were trying to accomplish and you have fears related to that goal. I mean, so does everyone. Everyone has fears related to goals. So just because I haven't accomplished my 2 big goals doesn't mean I don't have proof of concept. Doesn't mean I don't have proof that I can accomplish what I set my mind to. And I implore you to think about the same thing for your own life. If you have a goal that you're trying to achieve and you feel like it's too far away or that you can't do it, think about all the times in your life that you persevered, that you achieved something, that you fought for something, that you accomplished something, that you didn't give up. Think about all those times. Make a list of all those times, like literally physically write it out. You know, I should actually write down a bunch of the ramblings I just had in this video and put it somewhere you can see it every day and tell yourself you have proof of concept, right? You have moments in your life where you worked your goddamn butt off to get something. If it happened once, it can happen again, right? If we worked hard once, we can work hard again. And taking the time to take care of ourselves will not make that fall apart, okay? We can't run on empty. I try to, and it doesn't work out. We can't run on empty. You can't run on empty. You've got to rest. I've got to rest. I've got to take time off from working, from doing YouTube. Even though I love it, okay? Honest to God, love doing this. But it is also exhausting and I need to give my brain a break. You know, I've always loved editing videos. That's even been since middle school. Oh my God. My 2 biggest goals are passions that I've had since middle school. I made my first video ever in 6th grade. I wrote my first chapter of anything ever in 6th grade. These are deep-seated passions of mine. Like so deep. Like surprisingly deep. These are things that I have loved for a very long time. And I can almost bet that if you are really passionate about a goal in your life, you can probably find seeds of that planted very early on. And if not, that's okay too. Like, you can have newfound goals and dreams too. That's fine. But I feel like I'm almost certain that there's probably something that was planted early on in your life, right? Like, I shocked myself into tears remembering that I've been passionate about writing since middle school. Like, that's crazy. I've been passionate about making videos since middle school. This video went way off the rails. I scripted parts of it to try to keep myself on track, but I did not stay on track at all. So, okay, let me wrap this up if I can. Remember that no amount of rest will derail you from your goals, as long as you don't lose sight of your goals, right? But resting won't change who you are as a person. And that's a truth that I'm telling myself too. Resting will not change who I am as a person. Resting will not make it all fall apart. So that's like takeaway number 1. And takeaway number 2 is, man, if you really want something, don't stop. Don't stop trying to make it happen. No matter what the odds say, no matter if the odds are stacked against you, never stop trying to achieve your goals. Never stop trying to reach what you're passionate about. Because 6th grade me wanted to be an author. So I need to be an author for 6th grade me, right? 6th grade me wanted to be an author. 9th grade me wanted to be an author. 10th grade me. 12th grade me. College me. Although college me kind of forgot I wanted to be an author for a little bit. Just FYI, I forgot. Current me wants to be an author. Statistics may tell me only 2% of writers get traditionally published. I will be in that 2%. I will be in that 2% because, my God, I don't give up. I don't. And I don't think you give up either. Again, if you're watching this goddamn video, and if you've watched this rambling for this long, then you certainly don't give up, because if you can watch this, I don't think I've made a lick of sense, but maybe I have. We don't give up. Right? I will reach 100,000 subscribers one day. I will be in that less than 0.5% who does. Because I do not give up. And I work damn hard, okay? If you work damn hard and you're not going to give up, then you'll get there. You will reach your goal. Go out there and get what you want, but remember to take care of yourself. So with that, I think it's time to wrap up this video. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from this rambling mouth, consider subscribing. I do lifestyle vlogs with a focus on productivity, creativity, and self-care, but we just talked about how sometimes my self-care can be flawed. But I am currently on a mission to declutter my life, so if that sounds interesting to you, hit subscribe. I am on a mission to make a cozy book nook as seen behind me. Feel free to hit subscribe. That's my channel in a nutshell. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next video, I hope y'all have a lovely, lovely day.